Okay, this is the Gerty Switch job. Let's take a quick look at the kind of work we're going to do. We have a high cube on the yard track that needs to be spotted over here at the G1 building. Those two high cubes that are there are on hold, so we'll keep those on the track. We'll just shove them back a little bit further. There's a scrap car that's loaded with stamping scrap that needs to be pulled. That gondola will remain there because it's not quite done loading yet. We have a coil car that's empty that needs to be pulled. And that's it for today's work. Not much. So here's the coil car that needs to be pulled. These two are on hold. These are all not serviced by the Gerty Switcher. Here's the scrap car that needs to be pulled. This one's on hold. And there's nothing to be pulled, just one to be spotted. So the first thing we'll do is, since this locomotive is on this track, this is the normal resting spot. We'll pull ahead and we will couple onto the coil cars here. I'm just looking for my skewer. Now there are three cars coupled together here, and since I don't want to do any coupling and uncoupling inside the building, I will pull them out this far and do my uncoupling here. I'm just testing out this traffic pattern and this workload for this Gerty Switch job. If this proves to be a little short for a switching job, then I will probably add the rest of the Worcester chores to this job, which would entail switching all the industries here. But for now, we're just going to say that the Gerty Switcher switches only the Gerty Industries. And we'll say that Gerty has leased the switcher from the C&O to do this work. See, they have a Trackmobile, and I have gotten that Trackmobile to pull 3 high cubes, which would be the maximum amount of cars for the G1 industry. But as you might suspect, the operation is a little rougher than I would hope. So the first thing we'll do, we'll couple on the rest of these cars if the air hoses don't get in the way. And we'll spot that high cube back on the main so we can run around it and shove it to the G1 spot. I don't know the blocking that I'd like to settle on for the yard track, but I'm kind of suspecting that I will put all the outbound cars farthest in the track. So any cars that need switching will be closest to the turnout. Now I could spot the car here on the main to run around it, but instead I'll shove it clear of the G1 turnout just to eliminate one more reverse move. Looks like there's also a gondola here that we may have to spot because there's room for it. Also keeping in mind where the ground crew would be. They're probably riding on this boxcar here to set this turnout. I guess some people think it's not really prototypical to walk a scale 600 feet and throw all the turnouts needed beforehand. So we'll assume the switchman was on the ground here. We'll uncouple these cars, hop on the gondola for a ride back. If the train will stay coupled. This is another situation where the air hose interferes with the pilot here and won't stay coupled together. I'm very seriously contemplating cutting off all those Katie Glad hands so I don't have to worry about this happening again. And I already uncoupled this car clear, so I'll just shove that back. It's cheating a little bit, but it's okay. The work was simulated, we'll say. Pause here at this turnout. I'm contemplating either spotting all these yard cars back on the yard track, so just a locomotive is available to do the runaround, and then I'd have to pull all those cars back out to run around that gondola. So to keep things, I don't know, easier, I'll just keep all the cars coupled together. Pause here so the crew can jump down, throw this turnout. One thing, while I have a hold of these cars, I'll spot one of those coil cars back at the G2 industry. Now, since I'll throw that turnout there, I don't really need to couple onto these cars because I'm just going to spot this one. I'll put the couplers in the delayed action and then slowly shove this car to the other ones. Now these cars should be coupled together, so it makes pulling them out a bit easier. So I will try to line up these couplers so they do couple together. And then I'll shove this car, and I have the length of the track so that when this coupler touches the bumper, it is spotted correctly. And this is what I observed on the prototype. So we're spotted there. Now for the coil cars. And to keep things a little interesting, what I'll do is I'll pull the two that are in there already, and I'll spot the new one furthest back. I could just couple one of those cars on the end, but that'd be too easy. So what I'll do is I'll stop here, remove this gun. I guess what I could have done is pull all three of those cars at once. Along with that one there. But I haven't really operated this layout much, so I'm still working out the bugs and exactly the best way to do things. I guess we should move at a pretty slow speed here because it's in pavement trackage, in case there's anyone driving or walking around. Make sure the cars are lined up. Looks like we have a good joint there. We move at speed step 1. Well, if this locomotive would stay coupled to the cars, I'll have to put a short or a long shank coupler on here, or as I say, cut that glad hand either off or just make it shorter. So here we have all three of these cars being pulled out, or the other two cars. I'll just shuffle the order real quick here. We don't just want to bang into this car, even if it is empty. There we go. Shove these two cars so they're clear of the turnout. It should be right around this diamond. And I presume those two cars that are on hold because they haven't finished loading or unloading. Or for some other reason that maybe I'll come up with later. But being in the process of being partially unloaded seems a bit more feasible to me. good clearance point. I don't really want to shove that one coil car all the way to the building yet. I'll shove all three together, kind of like a grand shove. Don't really want to go in and out of an industry too many times. Keep moving things to a minimum, so any personnel have reduced risk of injury. Speed step 1 until that last car starts to move. Then we could accelerate a bit. And I will stop this gondola right about here at the clearance point. And since it's clear on the other end, on that end, I could do a runaround and spot that car pretty easily also. So I believe that's what I'll do next. Moving those those gondolas can be done by the Trackmobile, which would be operated by a Gerty employee, as this switcher is. But because we've already got this switcher out, we'll assume that the Trackmobile has driven on its road wheels off to the side, clear of the railroad tracks. So we'll put these couplers in the delayed position so I can just spot them and pull away. And to make things easy, I'd like to leave this last coupler outside of the building, maybe an inch or so, half an inch, so that way I have room to couple onto it. When I need to next time, which will be the next round after this workload is done. And since we want to get on the other end of that gondola, we'll pull all these cars out this way. Throw this turnout. Stop around here so the crew can throw that turnout. The crew would probably remain on the ground because he's going to have to throw that turnout again.